nice. Darn, Kim, I'm really proud of you. Nope, nope, in the closet. Everything's in the closet or underneath.
Laundry. Well, fine. Laundry gets done. Then it's all on my bed, so I just kind
Our daughter-in-law down in Houston.
Yeah. How do you do what?
Well, my daughter owns a lobster.
Yeah.
Well, and he worked for them. Did some things.
That'd be too hard to do. Hey, Sarah, try and give me a header.
I am very proud to introduce to you Richard Speer for Congress. Give him a hand.
Charlie, thanks for those kind words. That really means a lot to me. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Really, there's so many folks here to thank personally for a lot of effort they put together. Just Bill for getting the robocalls out and getting the checks to get this thing started. Charlie for helping with the advertising. Charles and Jim and so many others helping to get the facility set up and place to put drinks and all the rest of it. Ron with the music over here. And if I try and name everybody, I know I'm going to forget a dozen of you. So just so many people helping out, and I really appreciate it. So with that, thank you. About 2 years ago, the folks in this country rose up. We had a problem with the way folks were governing in Washington. Obama got in office, and all of a sudden we had a train of how much money can we spend. And that saw us kind of the Tea Party rose up, American people rose up. And we did something in the 2nd District of North Carolina that hadn't been done before. We sent a Republican to Congress. It had never been done before. I got behind her early in the race and said, you know, we have a chance. She was singing the right song, right tune. So I said, I'm going to support her too. I got out and talked to my friends. I sent money into her campaign. In fact, we got her to Congress. We had a little problem after that though, because she got up there and the folks in Washington, the Washington crew, Speaker Boehner and others got a hold of her, and the next thing, she's voting just the opposite of the way she talked to all of us. Opposite position we all said we needed. You know, when Obama went to Washington, we had about $10 trillion in debt. 2 years later, $14 trillion in debt. We set some of those folks up there, they got behind Boehner, and now we're almost 17 trillion. Headed to 17 trillion by the end of the year. Well, I wrote to Renee while she was up there having the continuing budget resolution debates, and again while they were having the raising of the debt debates, and the responses I got back from her were just really non-responses, and we didn't understand out here. It was about that time that I started talking to family, said, you know, we got to do something different. So I talked to family over summer, and by Christmas we decided I was going to go ahead and try to run. Talked to folks in the community, saw that a lot of people were getting the same responses out of her office, and so we went ahead and pulled the trigger, and I started the campaign to run right about the end of February. What am I up here for? We've got to reduce the size of government. You know, this government has never historically been able to get more than or collect more than about 18% of GDP in taxes, and today we're spending nearly 30% of GDP in government. As long as government's sucking up that many resources, businesses don't have money to put people back to work. So the first thing we got to do is we got to reduce the size of government so that the businesses can put America back to work. Next thing we got to do is we've got to get on energy. 35 years ago, under President Carter, we formed something called the Department of Energy. And its principal goal was to help this country to coordinate its energy sectors and get energy independence. 35 years later, hundreds of billions of dollars later, and we're not 1 kilowatt closer. Sounds to me like a department that has failed in its mission and it's time to go away. There's another one. Department of Education. In the 1970s, we routinely participated in educational competitions around the world. And the students of this country, routinely, number 1 or number 2 in those competitions. And then along about 1977, we had this president in there thought it'd be a good idea to have this thing called the Department of Education. So here we have another big government department, tens of billions, probably closer to hundreds of billions now. And we compete in those same competitions, except now we're rated 15 or 20 down the list of developed countries. Seems to me like another big government program that has failed us.
That's right.
We need to do away with the Department of Education. We need to send education back to the states, back to the local communities. We get it back to the local communities, something else has to happen. You all have to take charge then and make sure that we're funding all education the same. The public schools, the charter schools, unlimited charter schools funded the same as the rest of the public school system.
That's right.
Tax credits or vouchers for families so that they can send their children to private schools at the same cost that it is for the public schools. When you do that, we put competition into the system. When you put competition into the system, the public schools are going to do one or two things. They're going to start changing to meet parents' expectations, or they're going to go extinct.
Yep.
Either way, we win. All right, there's a number of other departments up there we need to look at. Be it HUD, oh my goodness, just so many. EPA, there's another good one. You know, I could tell you a story down in Florida, and EPA is a great one. EPA and the Department of Natural Resources. They've discovered down in Florida we got a couple of little things called skinks that are threatened. Anybody know what a skink is? Kind of looks like a little lizard. So if these wildlife folks come out to your land, and I happen to own 22 acres down there that I've started to plant an orange grove in, and they find a track on the ground, now can anybody realistically tell me they can tell one kind of lizard track from the next? So they think it's a skink track. Now it is the burden of the landowner to prove that it is not a skink track. And the protected area is 400-yard radius around that track. Anybody want to guess? That's about 40 acres. But, you know, our government is ever benevolent, so they have a program for us. They have a way out for us. Landowners can buy offset acreage that they've set aside in a refuge. You can buy 2 acres from them to offset every acre you want to use. And it's just $80,000 an acre. Folks, government has gotten too big. We've got to shut it down. I appreciate all of you coming out to support me today, support our race. If you haven't got to the polls yet, you need to get out to the polls and vote. Take your friends out there. We're handing out these pocket constitutions. Put them in their hands and remind them what government's supposed to be about. Thank you again, and everybody enjoy the pork, the rest of the pig picking.